Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of Black Girl Bible. I'm your host, Janai, Imani, and today is Season 3, Episode 1, Becoming the Proverbs 31 Woman. Let's start off with a brief word of prayer. God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for bringing us into a new year. I thank you for all that you did in our lives in 2024. And I pray that this year we will not only receive blessings from you, Father, but that we will receive direction and guidance along the way. I pray that you help us to walk confidently and boldly in our purpose this year. I pray that we continue to have impact on the lives around us. I pray that you transform us as women into the women that you have called us to be. I pray that every single day, God, we embody the characteristics that you would have us to have, God. I pray that as we walk through the world, we are women of God, truly in mind, body, and spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, Happy New Year. So I'm really excited to be kicking off a new season. Season 3, we are coming strong. I'm so excited. So just a little bit about what you can expect this season and some updates that I have for you guys, and then we'll jump into today's actual topic. So to start off, I just kind of wanted to talk about what I kind of envision for this season. So this season's focus is all about becoming more like the Proverbs 31 woman. We'll be doing that by exploring the lives of various women all throughout the Bible, and each episode will focus on a particular story or a particular woman in the Bible and how she relates to the Proverbs 31 woman, what we can learn from her, and how she reflects the characteristics of the Proverbs 31 woman in her own unique way. I truly believe that as we all aspire to be the Proverbs 31 woman, that's going to look different for all of us. It's not a one size fits all, even though we're all looking at the same scripture. And I just thought that was such an interesting concept as I was thinking about it, because as women and all throughout our lives, we're going to be in different seasons of our lives, and how we show up as the Proverbs 31 woman can change, and it can look different based on where we are on our journey. And so I want to take a look at all of these different women in the Bible and how they were in different seasons of their life. They had different backstories, they had different journeys, but how we can see a bit of the Proverbs 31 woman in every single one of them. And so this season, we're also going to be introducing some guests. So I'm very excited. We're going to have a good lineup, and I'm going to sprinkle the guests throughout the season. It's not going to be every single episode. We'll still have a little bit of solo episodes and a little bit of some with some guests, and I think it'll be really fun, and we'll really be able to see and explore these different women, and with our guests, how they emulate the Proverbs 31 woman in their life, how it looks different for them, and really just getting to see the perspective of different women, all different ages, all different walks of life. And I think that'll be a really exciting thing to add to the podcast this season. Another big thing that I really wanted to focus on this year was just providing more to you guys rather than just having podcast episodes. I really want to create a space where we can have a community. I can give you guys more resources, more insights. I can connect with you guys more than just our podcast episodes. And so I've officially launched my website, blackgirlbible.com. Go and check it out. It is live. There's going to be so much on there for you guys to just explore, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope that you guys like how it looks and kind of dive into it and see what you find. But definitely make sure you stay up to date on my website. You can subscribe to my mailing list to get updates and know all the info about Black Girl Bible and what we have coming up. So that'll be really exciting. And then I also have an area on my website where you guys can shop for products and where I can give you guys some free digital resources here and there. So to start off, I do have a free resource that is currently available for you guys, and it's the first product on my website. So I definitely wanted to just give you all something as I launched my website. And what I'm going to be doing this year is I'm calling it a New Testament Bible challenge, but I'm really just reading through the entire New Testament this year. And so I've created this plan to help you guys follow along through the plan with me just as we go through the Bible in 52 weeks. So if you're listening to this podcast on January 6th, that is officially the day that I am starting. So go and check it out. It's going to be there for you. If you download the plan, it'll go through all the instructions of kind of how we're doing it, but it's basically just one chapter a day, Monday through Friday, and then weekends are for resting, reflection, and catching up if you missed one of the days during the week. So I wanted to keep it simple and not make it overwhelming or daunting, because I think sometimes when you do a read the Bible in a year kind of challenge, you do okay at first and then you kind of fall off. So to kind of prevent that, I wanted to keep it simple, only reading one chapter a day. Sometimes that's 5 verses, sometimes it might be 20 verses, but overall you should be able to read whatever it is within 5 to 10 minutes. So it's pretty quick, and I'll be doing it with you. So I think that'll also help, just doing it together, having that accountability. So if you go to my website and look at the shop page, you can see the New Testament Bible Challenge. Go ahead and check out. It's completely free, so you won't have to pay anything. You won't have to put your card information in, none of that. But I do want you to go through the checkout process. You'll be able to download it. And this way you can be added into the email list specifically for that challenge. I'm going to be emailing you guys every week for 52 weeks, keeping up with you, reminding you on like what we're reading, giving you some like reflection questions, and just discussing like what I've been learning along the way as well. So it'll be like we're doing it together. And I think that's going to help me stick to it, but also help you all stick to it if we're doing it together and you're not just in it on your own. So make sure you go and download it directly from my website so that you can be added to all of those emails. And last but not least, this kind of ties into today's topic about becoming the Proverbs 31 woman as we kick off this season. I did create a 30-day devotional all about becoming the Proverbs 31 woman, and I'm going in depth, verse by verse, about how you can become more like the Proverbs 31 woman. So while it is a 30-day devotional, you are not going to become her overnight, but this devotional is designed to help you really think and process and analyze what that looks like in your life. Like I said, it can look different for so many people, and depending on what season of your life you're in. And so I really wanted something that can walk you through day by day and really help you take a look at your regular, everyday life. How can you be more like that Proverbs 31 woman? It's not about being superwoman, but it's about making those small changes and being conscious of how you're showing up every single day. So it's quick. It's a 30-day devotional. It's not too long. There's scriptures, discussion, and reflection, and places for you to journal, like everything. It's all in there. So it is available right now for pre-order only for the month of January. So no matter what time you're listening to this during the month of January of 2025, it is available for pre-order, and it will be officially available on February 1st. So go and pre-order it right now, because there will be some special gifts and little special things for the people that pre-order. But let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. For today's podcast episode, I am going to go through like 5 of some of the key characteristics I think that we can pull from the Proverbs 31 woman. If you want a more in-depth, if you want everything that I pulled out of Proverbs 31, definitely go and check out the devotional. But first, I want to take a look at Proverbs 31 verse 17, which says, "She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks." The characteristic I want to highlight here is being diligent and hardworking. I think one thing I love about the Proverbs 31 woman in general is her level of detail, her intentionality. Like, she's a go-getter, and she is that girl. And so here we can kind of see where it's talking about like her strength and determination. She is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that her responsibilities are done with excellence. And so whatever she's working on, she's being diligent, but also making sure that she's prepared to do those tasks. So her arms are strong, making sure that she's keeping up with herself, that she's fit, that she's ready to do all that is presented to her. So as we talk about being in our purpose and chasing the things that God has for us and wanting to do well in those things, it also means like keeping up with yourself and being disciplined and making sure that you're working hard on everything that God gives you. If we jump down to verse 20, it says, "She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy." This woman was generous and compassionate. So as you're chasing after the things that God has for you and God is continuing to bless you and favor you, it's not just for you. It's so that you can help those around you, so that you can be a blessing to your family and your community. So she has that heart of kindness and generosity, and knowing that you can receive from God from a place of compassion, and that he can trust you with more to take care of his people. And so this doesn't always mean doing above and beyond, doing the most. Not everybody can give in the way that other people can, but just doing what works for you, doing what you can, small little things each day that just show you're not just tunnel vision in your own bubble, in your own world, but you are paying attention to those around you and being a positive light in your community. If we take a look at verse 26, it says, "She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue." So this is all about being wise but also speaking with kindness. And so the Proverbs 31 woman, she's using her words very carefully, and she's offering guidance and wisdom wrapped in love. So especially if you've been called into some form of leadership, which I believe everybody has a little bit of a leader in them in some way, whether you're leading within your house, you're leading within your friends or your family or at work or wherever. You may not be the president, but you may be leading in a group, in your class, at college for a project. Everybody is going to experience some version of leadership at some point in their life. And when it comes to that, I think it's important to not only be wise in the way that you're leading people, but to do it with kindness and to do it with grace and to do it with love. You can be firm and effective and still be a gracious person. And I think that's part of the Proverbs 31 woman is she's able to move through lots of different situations, but her character remains the same. And that's an attribute I definitely want to have. So whether you are leading or maybe you're not leading, still being able to offer guidance or your opinions, but doing it in a loving way that is still helpful and communicating what you need and respecting yourself and the other person while still being gracious. Okay, let's take a look at verse 27. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. So again, she's being diligent, but now we're talking about specifically when it comes to the home. One thing I definitely wanted to mention about the Proverbs 31 woman is a lot of times people look at her like, oh, she was a wife and she was a mom. Yes, and yes. Even if you're not either of those things, you can still pull the attributes from her and be that woman. She was more than just a wife. She was more than just a mom. She was a woman of noble character. She was a virtuous woman. And so that's truly what we're aspiring to be. And that can show up as you're a wife. That can show up as you're a mom. But it should show up even if you're neither of those things. So here, even when we're talking about the home, whether you have a husband, whether you have kids, or if you don't, still making sure that your home is in order, that you're keeping up with yourself, you're keeping up with what God has given you, you're taking good care of it, you're making sure that everything is running smoothly and efficiently. And honestly, I feel like if you don't have a husband and you don't have kids yet, that is a perfect time to get that together. So that as those things come, you've already got a system that you know works for you and you can keep up with more and more, because it can get a little chaotic as you add things to your life. But I really want to pay attention to how it says, she does not eat the bread of idleness. Idleness. We cannot be idle. We cannot be lazy. We cannot. I definitely fall into that sometimes. Not gonna lie. I think it's great. It's fun. It's relaxing to me to just chill, watch some TV, do what I want, do what I feel like. But one thing that I'm really paying attention to as I'm going into this new year is you don't always have to do what you feel like doing. And sometimes you have to do things that you don't feel like doing. And you just can't live your life based on how you feel and what you want to do in the moment. Because you can set amazing goals for yourself. And then if you don't feel like it and then you don't do it, you're not going to get anywhere. So that's where that discipline comes in. Because that motivation, that inspiration, that passion is going to fade sometimes. And so that's really what I'm seeing when it comes to idleness and not being idle, is being able to work diligently, being able to work hard, pay attention to the details, and finish what God has given you, even when you don't feel like it. And lastly, I want to take a look at verse 30, which says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Out of all the things that is mentioned in Proverbs 31, her character is grounded in her reverence to God and that relationship that she has with God. That's why she's able to do everything in the verses before. And she's able to keep that level of character, to keep that level of grace and love and everything that she does because of her relationship with God. So while it's great to take care of your outward appearance and your community and everything in your home, make sure you take care of your relationship with God. Make sure that you make time for it, that you nurture it, and you truly seek God every single day for what He has for you. Life can just be very, very overwhelming. And so no matter what season you're in, days come at you fast, people need you for different stuff, and it can be a lot. And you don't want to allow the different circumstances and situations that we're going through to affect how we show up and who we are at our core. And as we aspire to be more like the Proverbs 31 woman, just keep that in mind, that God will be the one that's going to help you achieve that every day. And it doesn't mean being every single thing that's listed in these verses every single day. Maybe one day you might get one or two. Start small, give yourself grace, and just try to see like what you can do daily to help you become more and more like her. It's not an overnight thing. It's not striving for perfection, but it's that progress of being conscious and aware of how you're showing up. So I do want us to reflect on a few things before we go. And the first question that I have for you that I want you to think about is, how can you ensure that your words consistently reflect wisdom, grace, and encouragement in your relationships? I know for me, sometimes in the moment, the way that you feel, your emotions can kind of take over. And controlling your emotions is definitely part of being a Proverbs 31 woman. And so the first thing that comes to my mind on how I can ensure that I'm constantly reflecting those things, taking my time, making sure that I'm listening, I'm processing, being able to acknowledge your emotions in the moment and not respond in a way that's just reacting to whatever is happening or is going on around you, but being able to create a response that still reflects how you feel, but in a way that's still gracious and not taking you out of your character. And so I think that just comes with slowing down. Give yourself time to slow down, to process, to really think about the situation, what's going on, so that you can communicate in the best way. I think giving yourself that time is going to make sure that you're not just getting across how you feel, but that it's productive. Next question is, how can you create a more peaceful, organized, and God-honoring environment in your home or your personal life? For me, that's going to come with having a consistent morning routine. I think of a great morning routine, and then the morning comes, and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this, or I think I'm going to do this instead. And this year, I definitely need to stick to just having a good morning routine. The morning routine that I plan accomplishes everything that I want to do in the mornings, and make sure that I have the peace. I've talked with God. I've spent time with Him. I know where He's guiding me that day. I'm organized, and I'm able to honor God in everything that I'm doing that day because I've thought about it. I've put that intention into it, and I've given myself the space to be able to do that. I know for me, with how I show up for myself and how I show up in the lives of other people every single day, I know that if I can be more consistent with my morning routine, that's going to help me to do that. And lastly, how can you deepen your relationship with God and ensure that your life reflects reverence and trust in Him above all else? So this kind of, for me, ties into my morning routine, but again, just making sure that I'm truly carving out that time for God every day. I'm going to be doing a lot more Bible study, but especially keeping up with my challenge. Like, that was part of the whole purpose of me wanting to do like a Bible challenge for the year, is committing to something for an entire year, committing to deepening my relationship with God every day, to learning more about Him, and just further developing who God wants me to be by learning more and more about Him and who He's called me to be. So for me, that's going to be keeping up with my Bible challenge all year long. And again, I invite you guys to join in with me, but I want you to think about these questions and pray to God and just see what He's calling you to do. What is on your heart? What do you feel like maybe you need to challenge yourself to be a little bit better at? I want you to consider those things as you have time with God this week. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today's episode. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you're excited for season 3. I know we had a couple weeks off, but I'm really, really excited for all that God is going to do this season and just all the new things, fun things that we're going to add to really have a lot more impact in each one of your lives. So I'm very excited. And don't forget, right now we are doing a bi-weekly podcast, so check back, not next week, but the week after. And in the meantime, check out my website, start the challenge with me. Make sure you subscribe to my mailing list so that you can be notified and updated as I come out with new episodes and if there's any changes or anything that's happening. So I'm really excited for all that God is doing this year, and I pray that you have a blessed week, a blessed month, and a blessed year. And I will see you in the next episode of Black Girl Bible.